whenever you are. Ooh, watch out for her.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Encinitas City Council of Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Blackwell.
Here.
Councilmember Ehlers.
Here.
Councilmember Hinsey.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lyons.
Here.
Mayor Kranz.
Here.
Record will reflect that all members of the City Council are present this evening.
Okay, thank you. And if you would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that brings us to special presentations and proclamations, and there is one. So if I could have the team join me over there. The team, hello, hello. Okay, so we have quite a crowd. And it is Tim Perkey, the program manager of B-Cycle, Nico Sugius, the owner of Charlie's E-Bikes, Judy Burrowfine is the leader of Bike Walk Encinitas, Christine Schindler is also a leader in Bike Walk Encinitas, and Elizabeth Bowersox is the program director for San Diego County Bicycle Coalition. Nick Buck is here, he's a member of the staff. Evan Jednak is also the mobility coordinator here at the city. And what we have today is a proclamation for Bike Month, or excuse me, it is Go by Bike Month, national. So here is the proclamation. Whereas the month of May is National Go by Bike Month, and May 18th, 2023 is Bike Anywhere Day in the San Diego region. And whereas there are more than 40 miles of bikeways in Encinitas and nearly 1,800 miles of bikeways in the San Diego region, making the San Diego region one of the best places to explore local communities and go by bike to the beach, park, school, work, or local restaurants. And whereas Encinitas is home to and popular with many cycling groups, clubs, and enthusiasts, and the coastal corridor through Encinitas is one of the most traveled sections of California's coast by bicycle. And whereas Bike Month encourages new and regular riders to bike for fun, fitness, community connection, and transportation. And whereas biking is an emission-free and healthy transportation alternative for short car trips that reduces traffic congestion and is an active way to have a positive impact on climate change. And whereas annually, the City of Encinitas holds a Cyclovia Encinitas Open Street event, the only event of its kind in North County, which encourages car-free travel, showcases safe cycling resources, and promotes access and opportunities to enjoy cycling in and around Encinitas. And whereas the City of Encinitas promotes safe and responsible use of shared roadways, multimodal paths, and trails, and continues to expand cycling infrastructure as well as bike and e-bike rider education. And whereas the City of Encinitas supports Bike Anywhere Day on May 18th, 2023 to encourage students, families, commuters, bike enthusiasts, and people new to biking to replace a car trip with a bike trip and pledge to go by bike to an official pit stop from 6 to 9 a.m. on May 18th. Now therefore, I, Tony Kranz, Mayor of the City of Encinitas, along with all council members, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Bike Month and May 18th, 2023 as Bike Anywhere Day in the City of Encinitas, and encourage people young and old to enjoy Encinitas on a bike in the month of May and beyond. And it is dated this day, 26th day of April 2023. So thank you to all of you who are out advocating for bikes and, most importantly, bike safety. I became a convert to bicycling based upon the virtue of riding an e-bike, which I bought from Nico down at Charlie's, and it has changed my life. I have the opportunity to get around town and not worry about where the heck I'm going to park, for one. And it was fun. Yesterday, I was with staff up at the community center, and the 2 staff members left the community center in their car at the same time that I left on my bike, and we were both headed down here to City Hall and pulled into City Hall at exactly the same time. So it was a great way to illustrate that you don't necessarily lose any time by riding your bike, especially if it's got a little battery boost to it. So all good stuff. We're going to continue to advocate for more cycling, more multimodal options, more paths, and this team here is going to be doing all they can to promote that. So thank you again, all of you. Is there anybody that wants to speak for the group? Tim?
You're very kind. Really just grateful and honored to be part of this proclamation. We'll be fully supporting the pit stop for Bike Anywhere Day on the 18th, and just very grateful for the City of Encinitas' support in support of cycling in general. Thank you.
Thank you. And if the council will now join us for a picture down here, that'd be great. Okay, great. Now that brings us to oral communications.
Yes, we do have several. First 3 speakers, Ross Ritter, Trina Priest, and then Tim Bratton.
Good evening, I'm Ross Ritter, and I'm a resident of Cardiff. And I'm here tonight to express my gratitude for the recently completed mobility improvement at the San Alejo-Manchester intersection in Cardiff, giving residents and visitors safer pedestrian access between the Cardiff residential and business areas and our beautiful San Alejo Lagoon. While we had incredible new infrastructure built from the I-5 Manchester intersection to the lagoon, the pedestrian access between Cardiff core, where everyone lives, to the lagoon through this intersection was extremely dangerous. A sidewalk ended shortly before the intersection, and there were no crosswalks to get to the lagoon. Walkers and runners often crossed at unusual places, confusing motorists and endangering pedestrians. On the lagoon side, the pedestrians often had to step into the street to get around non-indigenous acacia trees growing on the bank. The Nature Collective wanted to remove these from their lagoon ecosystem. These trees also blocked a stunning view of our beautiful lagoon. Gathering a strong coalition, including the Nature Collective, Cardiff 101 Main Street, Cardiff Town Council, the Encinitas Parks and Recreation Commission, and Encinitas Bike Walk, who's here today, we made our case for mobility improvements at a Mobility and Traffic Commission, Safety Commission meeting in March of last year. The commission and city staff supported our recommendations and included the improvements to the staff, and the staff recommended mobility budget for quick builds, and that was approved by City Council. Throughout the process, city staff worked very closely with the Nature Collective to be sure all the improvements were environmentally sensitive. Here you can see me with Doug Gibson, the executive director of the Nature Collective, as city contractors were working on removing the trees. Here's the new view of the lagoon from Manchester. The crosswalks have been installed, the sidewalk has been completed to the crosswalk, and look at those wide open views. Local neighbors, pedestrians, and motorists all can enjoy these enhanced views of our lagoon and the ocean beyond. Pedestrians can now safely navigate the intersection through the crosswalks and walk down the decomposed granite footpath to the lagoon trailhead. The city decided to add a guardrail to the plan for added safety. Because no curb was installed, bicyclists can navigate this area with a little extra room. Looking to the future, the Nature Collective will be developing a native plant landscape design and replanting the lagoon slope with smaller indigenous species. I just wanted to publicly thank all the people from the various organizations who made this mobility improvement possible, and a special thank you to the City Council for providing funding for this important community enhancement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate you bringing those photos. The view is stunning with one exception, and that's those damn ugly power lines. So if we could ever get to the point where we were burying those, that would just make my day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Work well done.
Trina Priest, followed by Tim Bratton, and then Kelly McCormick.
Good evening, Mayor Krantz and City Council. I am a middle school teacher and parent of 3 teens who has spoken here before regarding what we are seeing with our students' mental health needs. Last month, I shared the Rades Children's Hospital press conference where pediatrician Dr. Natalie Laub spoke regarding the dramatic increase, both locally and nationally, in the number of young children ending up in their hospital after eating cannabis products. Dr. Laub said in about 80% of the cases, the children are discovering edibles in their home environment. So parents and teachers are pleased that Encinitas and other cities in our county are sending letters of support for AB 1207, titled the Cannabis Candy Child Safety Act, advanced by Assemblywoman Irwin. California, along with the rest of the nation, is experiencing a drastic increase in children being rushed to emergency departments due to accidental ingestion or overconsumption of psychoactive marijuana products that often mimic some of their favorite brands of candy, soda, or snacks. Assemblymember Irwin recognizes that this has become a public health crisis and believes child exposure to and consumption of cannabis is neither necessary nor acceptable. The bill will honor the promise and intent of Prop 64 to keep marijuana and its products out of the hands and bodies of our children. The bill clearly prohibits marijuana products, food, packaging, and marketing that are attractive to children and our youth. This bill is supported by dozens of organizations such as the California State PTA, California American Academy of Pediatrics, the American College of Emergency Physicians, and the Public Health Institute. The bill was heard last week in the Assembly Business and Professions Committee, where it was approved. It is now waiting to be heard by the Appropriations Committee. Thank you, Encinitas, for your assistance in protecting children from accidental drug use.
Good evening, Mayor Kranz. Good evening, council members. I just want to say on behalf of the Encinitas Train Horn Quiet Zone Group, we are very grateful and thankful that you continue to move forward with the Quiet Zone project. The RSCE meeting at NCTD this last Tuesday, Councilman Hinsey did a fantastic job representing the city, and we made a lot of progress. And we're very supportive. On behalf of the thousands of us in the Train Horn Blast Zone, we really appreciate the progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Next speaker is Kelly McCormick, followed by Scott Campbell.
Hello, this is Kelly McCormick. I'm a public health educator with San Diego Alliance for Drug-Free Youth. Since we are members of the San Diego County Tobacco Control Program, residents of Encinitas apartments and condominiums contact us when they need help because tobacco or marijuana smoking by a neighbor is making their home life unhealthy, unsafe, and unpleasant. In one current example, a family asked for our help after their apartment management failed to effectively resolve the problem of smoke pouring into their unit from a downstairs neighbor. In their words, the neighbor, quote, still smokes pot in their apartment and it fills our place. There is no escape from it. It doesn't seem like the office is going to help us, end quote. The family engaged an attorney and is paying a hefty sum to break their lease. They are looking for a place with a smoke-free policy. Situations like this could be avoided if the city were to enact an ordinance requiring all multi-unit housing to be smoke and vape-free. According to the Center for Energy and Environment, 65% of the air in an apartment can come from other units in the building. Smoke travels through vents, electrical outlets, windows, and even tiny cracks in the walls. The residue soaks deep into the walls, flooring, draperies, even the stuffed animals that children cuddle and put in their mouths. The California Air Resources Board classifies secondhand smoke as a toxic air contaminant. Clean air should be a right for all, not a privilege. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Council. My name is Scott Campbell. I live in District 1, and I'm representing the Encinitas Citizen Review Panel. We're just going to make some general comments today, nothing really too extreme. Okay, so last week, Captain Lawrence talked about DUI arrests, and the numbers are alarming. It's a huge increase. DUI arrests, 35 to 54, do the math, that's 60% increase over the first 3 months. You have to ask, why is this occurring? A reasonable person might think perhaps this is due to the vibrant street scene in Encinitas, perhaps. During the discussion, the council, particularly Councilmember Hensey, talked about Vision Zero. And, quote, follow every letter of the law. I've spoken several times about street dining and how the city is not following the letter of the law. I'd like to set some expectations on the SAM replenishment. It's on the agenda tonight. I don't oppose it, but it doesn't work. Here's a little chart. I've shown several charts. I've never broken it down like this. This is for Councilmember Ehlers. I made up a new unit, cubic yards per foot, and it describes basically these sand replenishment projects. And you can see the modern one, the one on the bottom, is actually coming in the least amount of cubic yards per feet out of any of the last 20 years. And we all know what has happened. So let's just not jump up and down. If this works for more than one season, that's great. I went down there today, down to Seaside, and took a little walk. We've lost 10, 15 feet of sand. It's down to the crushed rocks, the original replacement stuff. In the document, safety document that the Planning Commission looked at last week, they talked about bluff failures. And they make a special note that the bluff layers have changed over time from specific spots to spread out all over. That's just interesting. But the main point is there's a lack of correlation between rain, waves, and bluff collapse. Once again, a reasonable person could make the conclusion that sand replenishment is really not going to affect the bluffs. There's other charts that show projected bluff retreat of 0.5, 1, and 2 feet. They're almost all the same. It's quite interesting. And then the last thing I want to talk about, you had a special section. I really don't know what you talked about. But 2 weeks ago in the warrants list, there was these checks, and they totaled $173,000. I interpret that as claims exposure liability. It's interesting to me. It should be interesting to a lot more people. I don't really know. I didn't put the names. I could probably figure out. I know one of the names. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker, Christine Schindler.
Two slides. Could bring them up. If not, that's fine. Oh, sent yesterday. No, they're about Bike Month.
Are there more
That's fine.
speakers?
I provided them to everybody via email. All right, hello everyone. Christine Schindler, East Encinitas resident, here today to talk as a league cycling instructor working with the San Diego County Bike Coalition to bring some activities to Encinitas specific to Bike Month. So thank you for the proclamation. It's always good to go by bike. We'll see how much of this I can get through, but I just wanted to make you all aware of, I sent this information by email, but then also the public, of some of the things that we have going on this month. We have a all month from the 1st of May to the end, a bike scavenger hunt that's going to take place in Leucadia, Encinitas, and Cardiff, where people will go out on a bike and they'll be able to follow a route and hunt for certain tips in places, locations. Should be a wonderful, vibrant event. Electra has stepped up and provided our grand prize. So we have a bicycle that's going to be a grand prize. And we have all the other local bike shops stepping up to help us put together 10 giveaway packets. This event and 2 others are actually supported by the community grant that we got from the city of Encinitas. So thank you for that. In addition to our 3rd Saturday city cycling class that we've been doing for quite some time with the city at the Encinitas Community Center, we're also doing another city cycling class hosted by Electra. That one is going to be on Saturday, May 13th. And then in addition, Electra's hosting us to be the start point for a community bike ride that's going to happen on Sunday, May 21st. I hope many of you can join in and be part of that, be in the mix for that bike ride. These are all opportunities to get some additional education, and there's certainly encouragement for us to come together as a community and explore the city in a different way. We also have some events that are Sandag related. I know that Councilmember Hensy signed up for an event next Tuesday, May 2nd, that is sponsored by Sandag. It's an employee-employer event to talk about bike commuting and to do a little community bike ride from the library, to talk about the things that you need and kind of the tips and tricks of becoming a bike commuter. Maybe the mayor will want to join in as well, which would be awesome. We also, in addition to the Bike Anywhere Day, which used to be called Bike to Work Day, but because of the pandemic, shifted our work habits, so now they call it Bike to Anywhere Day. That Mayor Kranz mentioned, that's on Thursday, May 18th. We also have Bike to School Day, which is next Wednesday, the 3rd. Want to mention this so that everyone's aware that there may be more than the usual number of kids on bikes coming to school, so that we can all be aware of that and work to be safe together. We have some other events. I sent you this list, and I just appreciate you helping us promote these events and engage in them as you can. Thanks so much.
Christine, is there a place on the World Wide Web that people could go to find these list of events?
Yeah, so I have talked with Nick Buck about whether the city can actually include them on their social media and in a city e-blast, but we also, I'm sending them out to the school districts and to the area bike shops, and so they can help us promote. And we do have some social media as well through the coalition and Bike Walk Encinitas to get the word out there. But however you can help would be wonderful.
And the meeting, the bike ride on the 2nd, I have a regularly scheduled meeting with the Chamber of Commerce, and they have told me that we will be meeting this month on bike. So I am riding with the Chamber of Commerce in that ride.
Well, that's awesome. I'm very happy to hear that. So I'll be involved in that ride, so I look forward to riding with you too.
I look forward to the photo documentation of that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
That does conclude speakers for oral communications.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone, for coming and sharing your thoughts. Those are non-agendized items, so we can't have a whole lot of discussion about it. We did have a little bit, but that's what limits us. With that, we will move on to report from closed session. We've already reported out of closed session, but Mr. City Attorney, if you could do it again, that'd be great.
Thank you. Mayor Kranz, there are two items on the closed session agenda. The first item, anticipation of litigation, one case, risk of litigation, one case. No reportable action was taken. As to the second item on closed session, conference with the real property negotiator, the City Council designated a ad hoc subcommittee of Mayor Kranz and Commissioner Ehlers, City Council Member Ehlers, to create an ad hoc committee to further negotiate price and terms with the property listed on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And City Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the posted agenda. And then moving to the consent calendar, no items have been removed by members of the public.
Okay, excellent. So that means item 8A through 8, almost the full alphabet. Let's see. 8P.
Mayor Krantz, I will be abstaining from a vote on item 8P because my husband is a consultant with the City of Oceanside on this project.
Okay, and on that project, on that item, I would like to point out that Deputy Mayor Lyons' participation in that as a juror in that will definitely not bind the City Council in any way if any future projects happen to come before the Coastal Commission from the City of Oceanside or any projects that the City Council of Encinitas may consider. So with that, I would take them.
Move approval.
Yeah, move approval.
Move approval of the consent calendar 8A through 8P with Councilmember Hensy abstaining on 8P.
I'll second.
Excellent.
And City Attorney, I want to confirm that I'm able to vote on that motion. I don't have to bifurcate.
Correct.
Thank you.
Motion does carry unanimously with Hensy abstaining on item 8P.
Okay, moving right along, that brings us to item 10A, which is a public hearing to consider and approve Resolution 2023-39, approving the fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program. And Management Analyst Schubert will be presenting this information.
There we go. Let's start again. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and members of the public. The item before you tonight is the continued public hearing for the fiscal year 23-24 Community Development Block Grant Program Annual Action Plan and Budget. To summarize the March 15th meeting, Council approved funding recommendations of $313,340 and authorized a general fund subsidy of $13,000. A total of 6 public comments were received. 4 individuals spoke in support of the item, 1 spoke in opposition, and 1 written comment in support of the item was received after the public hearing. Approved funding was incorporated in the draft 2023-24 Annual Action Plan. The Annual Action Plan is a requirement for CDBG funding, and it describes how each project and activity meets a national objective and a consolidated plan need, and describes the outreach and citizen participation efforts. The public review and comment period was from March 27th through April 25th. The public was notified of the review and comment period through various sources, such as the Coast News, the city website, and the weekly city newsletter. Copies were made available at City Hall, the Community and Senior Center, and the libraries. No comments were received. For the fiscal year 2023-24 CDBG budget, we have a grant of $313,340 and $13,000 in general fund subsidy for a total of $3,026,340, allocated over 3 categories. First, a total of $60,000 is allocated to 3 public service agencies. Second, $62,668 is allocated to planning and administration, which includes fair housing. And third, $203,672 is allocated for public infrastructure and residential rehabilitation. To conclude, staff recommends that City Council adopt Resolution Number 2324-39, authorize the city manager or designee to transmit the fiscal year 2023-24 annual action plan and execute required certifications to HUD, and authorize the city manager or designee to execute all funding agreements and documents consistent with the fiscal year 2023-24 annual action plan. This concludes the presentation. I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you. And this is a public hearing, so the procedures for that are we receive a staff report, and then I ask council to disclose any other information they have received that is not included in the staff report. Then there will be preliminary questions. I will open the public hearing. We'll hear from speakers if there are any. We'll close the public hearing, and then we'll have council discussion and action. So with that, if you could disclose any information you received outside of this report.
Nothing to disclose.
Nothing to disclose.
Nothing to disclose?
Nothing to disclose.
And I have nothing to disclose. So are there preliminary questions? So with that, I will open the public hearing.
There are no public speakers.
There are no public speakers, so I will close the public hearing, and we will now have council discussion and action. And I see no names up to speak, so I would move approval of staff recommendations.
I'll second. And I might add that we had a very thorough discussion previously, so.
We did. I appreciate you adding
Yeah.
that. So if anybody's watching doesn't think
I
we're
wonder, yeah. So I-
negligent in our fiduciary duties.
And the recommendation is exactly what we directed, so.
Correct.
Very happy to do this.
Mayor, did you want to extend this item so the high school students can get a longer meeting in tonight? Or have they hit the jackpot on
Yeah,
the
you picked the right
meeting?
meeting, yes,
Really?
yes.
The motion does
Okay.
carry unanimously.
It carries unanimously. So we don't have any informational items. We don't have any council member initiated items. Do we have any city council member reports pursuant to AB 1234?
Wait, one. Councilmember Lyons and I attended the Encina Wastewater Authority Board meeting today where we approved the budget. What else did we do? There was one other item on there, pretty small, but the main thing was the budget today.
I'll just give a quick update because we have the time tonight that I attended the Rail Safety and Community Enhancement Subcommittee meeting yesterday. And it was a really great meeting. We got a presentation from Oceanside on their quiet zone, and we got to ask a lot of great questions. The second presentation was from Sandag, and it was about Carlsbad's project to eventually trench portions of their rail corridor throughout the city. And then the last presentation was a summary of all the available grant funds there are to cities and agencies, and there are always bonus points on these grants for collaboration. So it's really great. It's a reminder of why we're convening the REC committee, as it's called, because if we can join in with any other cities or with NCTD itself to put forward these grant proposals, we have a higher chance of receiving grant funding. So it was a great meeting.
I will just follow the report of Councilmember Ehlers that the Encinitas Wastewater Authority also agreed the labor agreement with the unrepresented employees. Two important action items today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I attended a meeting of the San Leo Joint Powers Authority board, and fairly interesting conversation around the contract for procurement of ferric chloride, aluminum sulfate, liquid calcium nitrate, and sodium hypochlorite for the upcoming fiscal year, where the cost of those supplies has shot through the roof. And so it has had a significant impact on the budget, but we're gonna manage that. We did have a presentation on the budget as well. And we also awarded a professional engineering and design services stormwater capture, reuse, and site water quality improvements project to DUDEC, and they are going to get the design done, and hopefully we can compete for grant funding to actually construct that. So San Leo JPA is definitely working to position themselves to be a great conservation organization. So I'm excited about that. City manager reports.
No report tonight.
City attorney reports.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Briefly, just wanted to advise the council that very recently, the Ninth Circuit, a three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit, in essence invalidated the city of Berkeley's natural gas connection ban to residential and businesses with some narrow exception. I want to point out that while this in theory may have implications for the city's ordinance, its all-electric ordinance in the building code, this is not a final ruling. It has not actually invalidated Berkeley's ordinance. Berkeley's ordinance is still on the books, and this ruling is still within the appeal period to the full judge panel of the Ninth Circuit. So this is not in any way, sense, shape, or form a final ruling. Should there ultimately be a final ruling that is adverse to the city of Berkeley's ordinance, we will of course be looking and evaluating the city of Encinitas' ordinance to see if any revisions need to be made. But for now, despite numerous comments that have been made to city staff and the city attorney's office by residents and developers, this is still a preliminary ruling. Encinitas' ordinance is still in full force and effect.
Thank you. City clerk report.
No report?
35 minutes in and we're done. New record. That is a new record. So congratulations, everybody. Enjoy your evening, and this meeting is adjourned.
Did you want to mention the State of the City address tomorrow?